Hello class. The next step in program development is defining and creating variables you might need in your process. Now this will depend on what type of process that you're trying to control. In our example, we had a switch that was connected to port 0. And as you know, a switch has two positions. And in each position, the voltage will be different. Let's say you have position up and down, or left and right. So in position up may be 0 and position down may be 5 volts. And we've learned that 0 means 0, 0 volts means 0, and 5 volts means 1. So we only have 0 and 1 as our option for the position of the switch. Now that information may have to be saved in your program. So you need to create a space in order to save the value of the switch. And since the switch only has two positions, you only need a bit, a single digit to hold those two values, 0 and 1. There are other variables that you can define, such as a nibble, call it nib, and that gives you numbers between 0 and 7. You can also create a byte variable, and that gives you numbers between 0 and 255. And then finally, you can also create a word variable, and that gives you really big numbers. I have to do the calculator to show you. So let's look at scientific, and 2 to the power of 16. There it is, 65,536. 65,535 from 0 to that number. So depending upon what you need to represent, you decide what variable you're going to use. And you define it here, and then you can use that variable in your program. In our program, we define a single variable called x, and in the program, x is used to save the status of port 0. And we use that information to decide whether to go to process A or process B. But the important thing is that value was saved for us to use in our process. So you might have to create many variables to represent the status of your inputs, and then use that information to decide how to control your outputs. So the second step is you deciding what variables you're going to need in your process for all of the inputs that you need to represent. Another example would be, for example, a temperature sensor. Now, if you're using a temperature sensor in your project and you connect that temperature sensor to the ADC, well, the ADC sends information as 8 bits. Therefore, you need to create a byte variable to hold the value of the results from the ADC. And it gives you a number between 0 and 255. Now for the logo, the values are already saved for you, so you do not have to define any values. You can use those values directly in your logic when you write your blocks. And also for analog information, there's a direct correlation between the voltage and the number. 0 to 10 volts represents 0 to 1000 in the PLC logo, which means if you are receiving 5 volts, you would receive 500. If you receive 10 volts, then the logo would read it as 1000. If the voltage is 0 volts, then the logo will read it as 0. However, in the microcontroller, you have to define those variables to hold the values that you're going to use in your procedure. Thank you.